Welcome back to another tabletop review. Today we'll be taking a look at the Walther Model PP 32 caliber semi-automatic pistol. What seems like a very long time ago, I saw a classic 32 caliber Walther Model PP like this one at a local gun store. At the time, I thought it was a very handsome firearm, but I also thought it was way too much money to justify, and so I walked away. I almost immediately regretted that decision and went back the next day, but by that time it was already gone. Years later, I bought a new stainless steel Walther PPK S380 with a crimson trace laser grip system, which would become my everyday carry weapon for many years. The PPK-S was probably more practical and worked out very well for me, but I never forgot that Walther PP. There was just something about it. Then a few months ago, at another gun store, here was another Walther PP 32 pistol. This time I didn't hesitate, and so here it is. Now, before we go any further, let's make sure that this gun is cleared first. And by the way, if you enjoy this review, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Founded by Karl Walther in 1886, the Walther Company is a German weapons manufacturer. Walther started out as a rifle and air gun manufacturer. In 1908, Karl Walther, together with Fritz Walther, his eldest son, designed and produced the first usable German self-loading pistol. Fritz Walther took over the management of the firm after his father's death in 1915. Walther has manufactured firearms and air guns at his facility in Germany for more than 100 years. As for the PP and PPK pistols, original development began in 1929, but a post-Second World War production ban resulted in Walther issuing a manufacturing license for the PP to the French company Manurhin in 1949. U.S. imports of the PP began in 1963, which were French-made until 1986, when the Walther resumed its own manufacturing. The PP, which stands for Police Pistol, is a compact, double-action, single-action, hammer-fired semi-automatic pistol. As its model name implies, the Model PP's target audience was police personnel, especially in Europe, who eagerly embraced its forward-looking design, which led to its continuous service for more than 60 years. Now, this particular pistol was produced in West Germany in 1972. Note that it says so right here on the slide, made in West Germany. And on the barrel here, 72. Okay, so if the PPs exported to the U.S. were made in France from 1949 to 1986, how did this 1972 German-made gun get to the U.S.? My guess, looking at the X'd-out Hessen mark here on the frame, was that this particular gun had originally been produced in Germany for service in law enforcement, probably for the German state police. And we also see the importer Inter Arms stamp here, which would suggest they had been retired from service from law enforcement as agencies across Europe switched to 9mm service pistols. And so this PP firearm was probably sold as a military law enforcement surplus. There's no way to know when it arrived in the U.S., of course, but it would explain everything else. Let me know if you know anything different. By 1992, the need for more firepower by law enforcement agencies had caused the Model PP32 to be replaced, and I believe the Walther Model PP was discontinued by the year 2000 after 70 years of production. However, the Model PPK and PPK-S are still being produced. By the way, pre-World War II and especially World War II models of the Walther pistols are highly valued. Because of its popularity, the PP was also chambered in other calibers such as .22 long rifle, .25 ACP, .380 ACP, and even 9x18mm ultra-round PP Super was produced. Model variations were numerous. So what's the difference between the Walther PP, PPK, and PPK-S? Well, it all started with the PP, or the police pistol, in 1929, with the PPK model following just a couple of years later. The K in PPK refers to criminal, or in English, detective model. Now, compared to the PP, the PPK is shorter in the slide and the barrel, and the grip frame is also shorter. So basically the PPK is slightly more compact. It is the PPK version that was made so famous by the James Bond spy movies. As for the S, Well, Walther developed the PPK-S in the late 1960s to comply with the U.S. Gun Control Act of 1968. The PPK failed the import points test by a single point, and Walther addressed this situation by combining the PP's frame with the PPK's barrel and slide to create a pistol that weighed slightly more than the PPK. The additional ounce or two of weight of the PPK-S or sporting model compared to the PPK was sufficient to provide the extra needed import points. It is the PPK-S in .380 or .22 long rifle that are the more popular models here in the U.S. However, with its slightly longer barrel, this PP32 auto model just seems a little more elegant to me. The Walther PP and its variants have a history that spans more than 90 years, with over 5 million pistols produced, and the PP remains one of the most respected and sought after and copied self-defense firearms in the world. How many rivals can claim the same? A good question might be, why was the early Walther PP chambered in .32 auto? Well, understand that in 1929, the .32 caliber round was very popular both for civilian and law enforcement use. Since initial introduction in the later 1800s and early 1900s, the .32 caliber round was much more the round of choice for both revolvers and automatic pistols. Today, the .32 auto has been almost entirely replaced by the .380 ACP round by small pistol manufacturers. But back in the day, the .32 would have been more common. Of course, by 1972, when this gun was produced, other caliber variations of the PP were available. But for me, I wanted a Walther PP with a more authentic, original 1929 design. A Walther PP chambered in .32 caliber would be proper and very cool. Today, there remain a few other good and popular .32 pistols still available, like the Beretta Tomcat, Camp 32, and Kel-Tec P32. In fact, I often pocket carry a Camp 32 myself in a wallet holster as a backup pistol. This Walther PP is a fixed barrel blowback style pistol chambered in .32 auto. The trigger action is double single action. There's a side mounted decocker here, down to decock, up to fire. There's no magazine disconnect, so the gun can be fired without a magazine installed. The slide and the frame are steel with blued finish. Grips are black plastic. Sights are snag free, fixed combat style with red and white painted markers. Slide serrations on the rear of the slide are well defined. Note the controls are not ambidextrous. There's no slide release. The magazines must be dropped to release the slide. The hammer is exposed. The mag release is up here by the slide. Magazines are single stack 8-round capacity. There's one magazine that is flush and one with a plastic pinky extension that came with this gun. Overall length is 6.8 inches. Barrel length is 3.9 inches. Overall height 4.3 inches. The width is 1.2 inches. Unloaded weight is 24.1 ounces. As for packaging, sorry, but this Walther PP didn't have any packaging or paperwork at all. That's not surprising since we know it was a military law enforcement surplus imported firearm. However, there are examples of model PPs in plastic cases out there too. If there are movie connections, this is where I usually will point them out. Chances are you can come up with a whole bunch of movies for the PPK, but what about the model PP? Not much out there, but I've got a couple of examples here. The 1992 film Single White Female with Bridget Fonda and Jennifer Jason Leigh, and the more well-known 1990 film Ghost with Demi Moore and Patrick Swayze. As for function, what I vividly remember about the first Walther PP I handled so many years ago was just how solid and smooth the gun functioned, and that's what caused me to immediately say, I'll take it, when I picked this one up. Tight and silky smooth. The magazine loaded 8 rounds easily and seated firmly. Even with the safety on, racking the slide is very light, very comfortable. The safety decocker action is light but firm with positive clicks. Sights are small but easy to align. The trigger in double action mode is only a little heavy, maybe 12-13 pounds. with a long but very smooth pull before rolling off to release the hammer. In single action mode, there's an 1/8 inch take up and then a very light, very short 3-pound wall to fire. Trigger reset is maybe 1/8 of an inch. Very, very nice. At the range I set my targets out 25 feet, which is my usual training distance. The Walther Model PP is a compact pistol, and as a .32 auto all-steel gun, it's got some weight to it. So while the punch is straight back to the hand, it's not at all uncomfortable, and regaining my targets was no problem. The Walther PP really fits perfectly, feeling like an extension of my hand. Good compact size, everything where it should be, so smooth operationally. What a great little shooter, and very accurate as well. The slide locks back after the last round is fired, and you have to drop the magazine to release the slide. Now, to be honest, before I began filming, I just shot off an old box of ammo I'd gotten from my Beretta Tomcat some years ago. I wanted to get a feel for this gun. So smooth, I ran through 50 rounds with no problems. I began filming with my second box of ammo and 6-inch targets set at 25 feet. Great accuracy. I could easily cover my shots with my palm. I shot off my second magazine in rapid fire. Very nice. All my shots were on target. Now with the target set out to 35 feet. What a pleasure to shoot. Still at 35 feet. I could do this all day, moving the 6-inch targets out to 50 feet for my last 2 magazines. It was still easy to stay on target. That's a good thing, and given these are only .32 caliber rounds, shot placement is even more important. Still, this Walther Model PP didn't disappoint me. As old as it may be, you can easily see why this gun is so famous. Very, very nice. As for cons, as I've said before in my review of older guns, I try to keep in mind the era, purpose, and context of the firearms I review. Not much can come from comparing a gun like this Walther 90-year-old design gun with today's modern firearms. With that in mind, there's a little negative that I can say about the Walther Model PP. Perhaps its small caliber, overall weight, small sights, low capacity, dated design, lack of ambidextrous controls, and lack of a slide release warrant mentioning, but for its time, those would not have been a big issue. Now, it should also be acknowledged that as these guns age, you may need to replace parts, but for what I can see, not only cost but availability could pose serious problems. For example, I did find Walther PP magazines on eBay, but at $200 a piece. I don't think so. As such, I suggest that you be certain of the gun's condition before you buy. And one more thing, you should know that the later Walther PPK models may not always live up to the early Walther standards. In fact, my own Walther PPK and PPK 22 are fine pistols, but neither are really as refined as this earlier Model PP in my opinion. I'm just trying to be honest here. As for pros, well, from the Walther PP design grew the very popular Walther PPK and PPK variations, and taken as a whole, the PP format itself has been probably one of the most copied pistol designs in the world, right up there with the famous 1911. Certainly a testament to Walther's genius. Compared to its clones like the Makarov, the CZ, the Astra, the Bursa, and the FEG, to name a few, the quality and refinement of the Walther is undeniable. The safety decocker, hammer block, and the single action, double action trigger design allows for a round to be carried in the barrel safely. In my opinion, the whole concept was brilliant. The execution was superb, and the end result outstanding as a defense pistol. It's been proven to be a very reliable and accurate pistol. It's the right size, it has the right feel, has the right capacity, has the right efficiencies, and has the right controls for getting the job done. This is such a finely crafted firearm with a very attractive, timeless profile. No wonder the Walther PP set an industry standard for excellence in concealed carry firearms and was adopted as the duty weapon by so many law enforcement agencies throughout the world. Disassembly is simple and conventional Walther. Ensure the gun is empty. Pulling back and locking the slide back. Remove the magazine. Pull down on the trigger guard and lock it to the side if possible. Keep your fingers clear of the guard and pull back on the slide and up. Release the slide forward and off the barrel. And the recoil spring can be removed as well. That's it. Reassembly is basically the opposite. With the trigger guard down, return the slide to the frame. Release the trigger guard and check for function. That's it. As for price, be aware that the value placed on the Walther PP model has risen about $100 during the last year, and I would forecast that trend to continue. Today, Genetron.com posts an original manufactured suggested retail price of $999 and a current used value of $500. However, True Gun Value suggests a used value closer to $775 today. And a quick survey of gun brokers' auctions revealed most Walther Model PP pistols were receiving bids in active auctions close to $700, which would suggest that they would finally sell for a bit more. And a sample of recent national sales would suggest prices ranging from about $400 to $900. So there seems to be a lot of variation on price when it comes to the Walther PP, which leads us to the question, what should you expect to pay? Well, that depends. Personally, if I saw one like this one at a gun store for $500, I'd probably buy it. In fact, that's what I paid for this one. Remember, if it comes with an extra magazine like this one did, it could be worth a lot more, since extra .32 caliber magazines could run you more than $100 each. If there's an original case, manual, and holster, even more. If it's from the World War II era, you can expect a very, very high price tag. By the way, I thought you might find this inner arms ad from 1968 interesting. Note the Walther PP is listed here for $49, which included a holster. The Walther Model PP is a German .32 caliber pistol which was designed in 1929. The Model PP was followed by perhaps the more popular Walther PPK and PPKS models. Built to military standards and adopted by law enforcement around the world, the Walther PP has the distinction of being one of the most copied handguns ever. While the PP is no longer in production, with excellent shooting characteristics and a superb feel in the hand, the Walther PP remains a highly sought-after world-class carry firearm. As a result, the Walther PP is a pistol that appears to be increasing in value and is likely to continue to do so into the future. So let's wrap this up. So now that I've owned this Walther Model PP for a few months, what do I really think? I paid $500 for this 1972 retired law enforcement pistol. It came with an extra magazine, and it probably was originally carried by German state police, then turned in when agencies across Europe switched to 9mm service pistols, and eventually it was sold as military law enforcement surplus in probably the 1990s. It has a few scratches and a bit of carry wear on the finish, but functionally it's in great shape. My main concern was that the springs would be getting weak on this 50-year-old gun, but I've not actually seen any evidence of that. Unfortunately, I haven't had much success in locating additional magazines, so I'm lucky to at least have two. I checked on the availability of replacement springs, and Wolf Gun Springs indeed had a complete service pack for only about $20, which even included a magazine spring, so I went ahead and got these while available. You never know. I found plenty of .32 auto range ammo locally for about 50 to 40 cents a round, and even a couple of boxes of Hornady critical defense rounds reasonably priced. And although the Walther PP has a longer barrel, I found that it does fit my custom PPKS holsters. Overall, this Walther Model PP is just a great firearm, and I'm very pleased with it. As a functional carry weapon, it may be dated in the design, heavy in weight and underpowered and lacking in capacity, but its comfortable feel, silky action, excellent trigger, and superb accuracy make it a real pleasure to shoot. It's just such a sophisticated, outstanding firearm. Okay, there's no doubt that this Walther Model PP will eventually join a number of my other older firearms in my safe, not to see the light of day, but just a couple of times a year. But for now, I'll admit, I'm really enjoying this elegant, legendary classic. Any weapon you carry is better than the one you left at home. Thanks for watching. Hope you'll be back for my next tabletop review. Until next time, stay safe.